Hi there, I'm Dani Henderson. Welcome to this impromptu little update on the Sasquatch. Boy, have we got a show for you today. I am just switching over to my lovely friend, Brian Bland, to make him the host so that he can share with you his new book. His new book is called A Sasquatch Story, My Life with the Arrie Clan. Brian Bland, welcome, darling. How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself? It's been a while.
It has been a while. I would just love to share with people too that, your other beautiful friends who I like very much, Michael Harrell, who's you two.
You like him more than I'm joking. I'm joking.
When you two get on your so guys out there, Brian Bland in the here next to me here. Oh, that way. Anyway, there. And Michael Harrell, they have a show on YouTube and Facebook, and it's called Pork and Beans. And honestly, you guys, sometimes you're like two old farts and you're nattering with each other and people are watching live and you're just going off and chit-chatting away, and then finally the guest comes in, and then 3 hours later I'm still watching. Okay. So, and of course, a lot of the chat is about the Sasquatch. So it's a great show. And hi to Michael Harrell. Really respect the work that you do out there, sir, too. This is your moment. Okay, we get it.
Of course I'm joking.
Of course you are. Of course you are.
But
all right. Well, tell us about your new book and tell us, who are you and how come you are talking about the Sasquatch, the Bigfoot, the Yeti?
Well, I've always been fascinated with them all my life. Now you got me having the giggles. And so, there was some kind of connection there even before I was consciously aware of it. Because then once you establish a connection and things start to unfold, you realize that things before you realize that there was the connection were actually taking place, and then it's sort of, oh, that's why this happened, so and so. But yeah, I got a call to go to the mountains in 2012. I was just walking my dogs, my little Chihuahua dogs. I had two little Chihuahuas, and they were friends with the Sasquatch actually, but especially the male. But anyway, I'm just walking along and I got a telepathic mind speak. There's many different types of mind speak, but this was actual words in my head. And it said, go to the mountains. And since then, I've been connecting with them, connecting other people to them. The show is their show. The Pork and Bean show is their show. And they check in every show. We can feel them energetically there. And we've even channeled them there on the show a couple times. So it's been, and did I answer? You asked me more detail about that. I think I missed part of that.
Well, how you got into knowing you have a connection with the Sasquatch, which has obviously led to you creating the Pork and Bean show, connecting to you doing the presentations that you do, interviewing people around the world with their Sasquatch experience. And some people have physical interactions, like our friend Sambo True Brother, who was a speaker at the Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection Conference this year. And some have telepathic, spiritual, as you called it, mind speak connection with the Sasquatch. Would you say you're somewhere in between?
Yeah, I have all of that kind of going on, but I would call my relationship with them a teacher-student relationship. They're the teachers and I'm the student, and they've taught me, about universal truths, and giving me downloads of great knowing. You know how that works. You know how the download thing works. I'm sure you do. Suddenly you just get this download, and then you know a bunch of stuff, and you don't even know how you know it. And it's and the knowings are more concrete than some physical things that we actually have happen to us. It's kind of, if you haven't experienced it, I guess it's kind of hard to explain. But you know what I'm talking about, Dani.
I do. So let's go back to you and the Chihuahuas who befriended the Sasquatch. You're in the mountains, 2012. What happened?
Well, I mean, I got the call to go to the mountains at that point, and then I just I got a hold of a fellow who was on Facebook that was in my area, and I just happened to I was working a graveyard shift, so I had all kinds of time on my hands doing security, a kind of a retirement job, and so I had the internet. That's where I wrote my book, actually.
At work.
Yeah.
I love
But
that.
so I was getting paid and working on my book, but
It's like getting a book advance. It's brilliant.
yeah, yeah. So I was so I was looking at this site called Bigfoot Encounters, which was a really, really extensive site by the late Bobby Short. And I was looking it over, and there's all kinds of accounts and stuff in there. And I noticed, hey, this guy is in my area, and his son and him found juvenile tracks up in the snow. So I took note of his name, and I sent him a Facebook request. And next thing you know, we're going out, and we're good friends. And the very first time we went out, I had interaction, and it hasn't stopped since. And from day one, he showed me the glyphs, the stick writing, the messages that are on the forest floor, and that can show up anywhere, actually. But that's where I initially was introduced to them. And that was a very big teaching moment too, because the glyphs have been amazing, and they're one way that they connect with us and teach with us.
So for people that don't know, the stick glyphs, or the stick art, is what the Sasquatch leave on trails, and they will bend beautiful arches of sticks and leaves and all kinds, and they'll leave little things like a feather and a leaf and a stick placed in such a way that it's not humanly possible or naturally possible for the wind to blow, so you recognize, when you connect with them, you start to learn and know what to look out for. What was your you said the first time you went out with Bobby, you had an interaction. What was that? Was it stick glyphs?
Bobby was the creator of the site. It was actually a guy called Randy that I went over. So what was what was the first one I saw?
What was you said you had interaction the first time you went out with him. So what was that?
So what happened? Okay, well, he showed me the glyphs, and I didn't take my eyes off the trail probably for 3 or 4 years after that, because I was so fascinated with them. And that was by design, because they wanted to work with me through them. And later in the day, we were, and I don't do this anymore because I think it's kind of dumb now. But, when I first started, we were knocking on trees and whatever and stuff. And it was important early on because there was a lot of physical interaction and a lot of in-your-face stuff early on, because they want to get your attention. They want to get your attention and get you intrigued. And then once they have that, then they can start working with you on a deeper level. So we were knocking on trees and like knock, 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 knock. And then up on the hill, we heard knock, 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 knock. And we would do it, and it was going back and forth. And then the mysterious knocker, who we called, who do we call him? I can't even remember the name now. But anyway, he was outdoing us. He was like imitating us, but then doing like really complicated stuff. And it was really a definite interaction, and it was fun, and a connection was established. So
I love that. And I love that they have a sense of humor. And I can just imagine that knocker like really seriously drumming some genius knocking technique out.
I go like knock, knock, and I go knock, 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 like a machine gun, and just like, holy crap, I can't do that.
That's so brilliant. That is so brilliant. I love it. Can you bring us to the clan of Sasquatch beings and beautiful people that you are connected with and have seen, and describe what they look like, please?
Well, do you want to see? You want to see a picture of them?
No, thanks. Of course we do.
Well, I mean, my clan leader is Arrie. The first
Arrie.
Yeah, and man, they're full of love. When they, oh, I'm getting tingles. They're listening to the show right now, or Arrie is for sure. When I think of the love that they send you is just so incredibly amazing. It just, the energy it can bring you to tears instantly. So let me try to bring up a picture of him. Actually, I think my book's going to be the first thing we're going to say. So let me know when you can see that.
Yeah. Brian Bland has started. Okay, great.
Yeah. I designed this cover myself. I don't know. Here's some of the
Beautiful.
glyphs. Here's some of the glyphs. Like here's one here, and here's myself under a structure, which is actually kind of like a big glyph. And then here's a personal message for my wife and I. And yeah, and amazing. And then, you know, sometimes with these glyphs, they're personal. The messages are personal. And if they're working with you through them. And sometimes they're communicating with you through that understanding of what they mean years before you even consciously come up with that meaning. And this one is actually an example of that down here, but I've got a better picture of it. I'll just show you quickly what a glyph looks like, because I know you want to talk about more than just the pictures and stuff. Oh, can you see the face there?
I can, yes.
That's
Yes.
Arrie. See, they can change they can change into any shape or whatever that they want. You know, like the shape shifting and stuff. I've seen them in human form. I've seen them in as ravens, owls, deer. And it's not just like speculation. They've proven it to me. So, but there's a bunch of stories behind that, but we don't have time for all those. But anyway, so he can just with thought, he can change his molecular structure, I guess is how you would say it, into any form that they want. And that's pretty amazing because you can see the two eyes, you can see the nose, the nostrils, the chin, you can see the mouth, and that's his face. That's actually his face.
Beautiful.
So, oh, here he is. Let me see if I can. Where is the? Oh, I get it. Okay. Sorry, Dani. I've got to try to move this. I got to try to move our little
Don't you worry. You take your time.
There we go. You see him here?
Yeah. So explain to people the parts of the body, because some will be seeing this on their phones, which would be really small. So can you show us his head, his back, his leg, his arm to give us and which way he's facing?
Okay. Well, here's his head here. Here's his nose. He's got the big patty nose, the big white nose, two eyes, hair, shoulders, big massive bulk. Like he's 12 feet tall and he's huge, probably as broad as a Volkswagen. You know, his chest here and then his body, but he's, you know, he's not fully materialized, obviously. But you can see him, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can see him? I know you can.
Yes. And that's a good image. You know, it's important that people understand the differences of the Sasquatch and the abilities and the different kinds of Sasquatch so they can dematerialize, they can change the molecular structure of their bodies, they can appear in objects, they can change their entire beingness from raven to bear to Sasquatch. And a lot of people aren't aware of these aspects of the Squatch, the Sasquatch, the Bigfoot, the Yeti, the abominable snowman, and all the other names given. So it's really important for you to give us the education that we're craving on the knowledge of the Sasquatch. Thank you so much.
Well, he's partially materialized here, right? And so when I went in that day, I was overcome with this energy that they sent me, just this loving energy. And sometimes it's so strong that you just literally start weeping. You literally have tears rolling down your cheeks and you're like, like blubbering. It's so powerful and so, the love is so beyond what, you know, we've ever felt before. It's like a universal kind of thing, I guess. And so I'm driving in and I'm just overcome with emotion. And I said, Arrie, visit me. Why don't you come and visit me today? And I was walking around in one of my favorite areas, snapping pictures of everything, like, you know, like butterflies, leaves, just any old thing, because I just love taking photography and nature and being out in nature. And I didn't notice him when I took the picture, but a couple of weeks after the fact, my wife was looking at my pictures and she said, here's Arrie in the picture. And I mean, I can see him as clear as a bell. But then, you know, if it's for you, you know, you're more apt to be able to see it. But most people can see him. And like I said, here's his nose, his two eyes. And so he did come and visit me. And yeah, quite the honor. And, you know, I mean, and the other thing that is so compelling about this picture is that you know, it kind of proves that they're interdimensional, because it kind of shoots a big hole into the ape theory that they're just hominid apes roaming around in the forest and they don't have any abilities and that they're just dumb animals or whatever, because if you can see him here, which I can clearly see him, that can't be the case, right?
Yeah, of course, of course. I think people now are really getting smarter themselves and recognizing how we have been insanely lied to. Our history has been redacted and changed to suit the narrative of the buffoons that run our planet. I mean, how on earth is it possible for these beautiful beings to create such incredible art glyphs, wood glyphs? So continue.
Here's an example of a glyph. So, anybody who tries to say that just fell randomly is it's not possible. And I've seen tens of thousands of these and got pictures of thousands and thousands, and they show up everywhere I go, and not just me, other people too that have this connection with them and that want to work with them through glyphs. So they'll show up at your house. They'll show up in a different state, like I'm in Canada, but if you're in, I've been to Washington and Oregon, they show up there, and they'll show up by my car. They'll show up when an important event happens in my life, for support, and the message will be one of support kind of thing. And some of them are quite intricate, like this one here. There's all this.
Yeah.
And then this little one down here, and it's amazing. And then there's some structures and stuff. Oh, yeah. And then these personal ones like this.
And is this the one one of the ones that is from Arrie, the clan leader that you've just shown us a picture of? And he leaves this personal sign off to you from him. There's a certain way that he does it, right?
This one isn't. This is a personal message to my wife and I. This fish cliff is our connection, okay? The connection between my wife and I. And I know that because, well, we've only got an hour or so to explain it, so it's kind of hard to explain. But it's a knowing, but it's also from repetitiveness and just from seeing it in the different ways that they presented it. And it's an understanding between myself and them. So I definitely know that this represents my wife and I, this fish glyph. And a Y glyph here, you see there's a Y here too, that they put in with it. The Y means man, Sasquatch, all one, all connected, or man, Sasquatch connected. Man, Sasquatch, the two shafts, the two offshoots, I guess, and then the shaft is connected. And so when you look at it like this, the message here, if you put them together, is man, Sasquatch connected. Brian and Sue are connected, and we are connected to you. And if you actually look at it, there's actually even an A here too, right?
Yeah.
So that just means it was from the clan of Arrie. And what's really, really interesting about this is that, and I've got numerous examples of this, is that when I was finding a lot of these, I didn't know what the Y stick meant until I eventually one day said, Y means man, Sasquatch connected. The very next day, they started communicating with me according to that understanding between myself and them. And then I was looking back at pictures that were taken years before, and they were already using the Y in the messages. So they were already using the connection message presented through the Y in different glyphs, which is pretty compelling, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to some other beautiful items that you want to share.
Okay. Did you want to do, or did you, you're talking pictures, or do you want to just talk?
Well, both. I think while you're on the screen share, if you could show us a bit more of the examples of the wood glyphs and hieroglyphs and wood art. So people know what to look for when they're out in the forest, or, like you said, they appear by the car, they'll come into an apartment building. I mean, they don't, they're not too picky, but they prefer the wild, but they do come to people everywhere.
they prefer their people. They'll do it anywhere where their people are. Like, you know, for instance, and I wish I could think of the word. This just happened a couple days ago, and I can't think of the word, but there's a French word for what, for why. And I
Pourquoi?
can't.
It's
Yeah.
pourquoi.
Oh, beautiful. That's beautiful, because that's exactly right. And so we're walking, my wife and I are walking along the sidewalk, and this is in the place that we just moved into just recently. So, you know, they'll leave you a message, we're with you wherever you go and wherever you go to. And so she's just walking along the sidewalk, and I swear to God, she's never ever said pourquoi in her life. I think she knew what it meant, but she's never said it. All of a sudden she says pourquoi. And then as soon as she said that, we look down on the sidewalk and there's a Y stick there right in front of us. And you know, she said it for no reason before she saw the Y stick. And that's an example of thought placement, which is another form of telepathy. You get the thought, and then they'll give you the example of the answer.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me countless times. I mean, I want to stress that when I talk about these things, like I just don't say it looks like this, or you know, like an educated guess. These are examples over and over and over again, proven in many different ways that, you know, my meaning and my understanding is accurate, at least as far as my relationship with them. Like, I don't want anyone to think that any of these symbols would mean the same for them. It's got to be personal. It's got to be personal for them.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look. Good. Excellent. Ooh, what's that?
Well, they left this just before they like to leave little houses and stuff in various states of construction. And this was they would leave these to give me an idea what they thought of my union with my wife, because they encouraged us. They brought us together, actually. They told me, we want you guys together. You have work to do for us. So they were leaving like little teepee structures and little house structures, and sometimes the walls would be missing or different things. And the degree of construction would generally indicate how strong they viewed the relationship. So this was just before we got married, or maybe right afterwards. I'm not sure. But anyway, this is a pretty compelling little house that they made, and you can even see us on our little beds, right?
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? And look at this little bundle of sticks here and then over here, and it's just they're just so creative and so loving. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, isn't that incredible? Oh, yeah. Here's maybe I'll tell this story because it's how long are we going to go for?
Well, just keep going.
We started late, we started late. Yeah, okay.
It's fine. We're not going to do 2 or 3 hours, but we're just going to keep moving through. I'm also going to post the last broadcast. Yeah, I'm going to post the last broadcast I did with you and Michael Harrell on Pork and Beans. I'm going to post that underneath this broadcast so people can get like 3 or 4 hours of you and Michael, and more on Arrie and the clan, and more of these pictures. So they really get a good solid education on your clan in particular.
So you're going to really appreciate this. And I know I've told you this story before. This is one of my favorites, but it also talks about, like I said, that they know where we're going, what we're thinking, what we're going to do before we even formulate the thoughts. Okay. So this is amazing. And sometimes the glyphs, they'll be very, sometimes it's a message according to the symbols or whatever, and sometimes they just draw what they observe you doing. Okay. And this is an example of that with some messages in it too, and I'll explain this. So my wife and I were sitting in front of our tent late one night, totally dark, and off into the bush off to the left, which is to the right here, okay, because it's obviously mirror image. But off to the left of us, we were sitting in front of our tent. We heard, or she heard, because my hearing is not that good, some heavy breathing in the bush of a huge individual in the bush, just off to our left. And My wife said that's Fortuna, who was one of the clan members. She just had this knowing that it was Fortuna, and she's got a connection with them too. So I trusted her intuition on that. And she could hear him breathing, and she knew he was there. And off we went to bed that night. The next morning we woke up, and about 10 feet in front of our tent, I see this glyph placed there. And like I said, I very rarely took my eyes off the path in the early days. And before I would go to bed in the surrounding area, I would scour, and I knew exactly what was there. So this was not there the night before when we went to bed. So I woke up and I see this, and check this out. This is just absolutely amazing. This will blow your mind. Here it is a tent. Okay, you can see the tent.
Yep.
Here's the tent floor. My wife, Susan, said, man, they even know how to construct a tent, because we took these as the tent pegs.
Mm.
Okay. And look what's inside the tent. 2 little sticks, which represents my wife and I inside the tent, right? Right?
Yeah.
Now I told you we saw an individual, or we heard an individual, or she did, the previous night, observing us. He is. And you notice it's a little bigger than us too. Size appropriate. So this is Forstner watching us as we're in our tent. And on the roof, there's an X, which is friendship welcome. It's a standard greeting. X is friendship welcome. That's my understanding. Okay. And so he's depicting what he saw us doing, depicting him watching us doing what he saw us doing, welcoming us. And once again, I told you that the Y means man, Sasquatch connected, right?
Yeah.
This is going to give you a little bit of an idea. Oh, they're hitting me up with energy, Dani. A little bit of an idea of, how I know what's going on and whatever, as far as them knowing. This is just an example of me knowing that they know what we're going to do before we do it. So when I first saw this, I said, what is this stick here off to the 11 o'clock angle? I knew everything else was pretty obvious to me, but I couldn't figure this out. And so after I came up with the meaning for the Y stick, I'm looking back at a lot of photographs, and I saw like that message in so many of them that just stood out. And so I remember when I first saw this stick at the 11 o'clock angle, I said, well, I don't know what it means, but I will eventually. And so if you look at it, it's a Y. You see that? Oh, it's friendship welcome. And it's also saying Sasquatch, because it can be size appropriate, man, connected. So it's talking about our friendship, and it's talking about our connection. And it's showing, and it's also drawing like a pictogram or whatever, or what actually transpired. Beautiful. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely. They're letting you know we see you, we're protecting you, we're here. And it's so nice that you and your wife have this beautiful love between each other, and love for the Sasquatch. And there's this responding physical images and the messages left for the two of you. It's really quite remarkable.
Yeah.
What else you got?
I just really hope that people can see what I'm talking about. I mean, I've got the benefit of having it happen so much, and it's just so big a part. It's just like washing my hands in the morning. It's just so natural and common now that I don't even just become commonplace, but it's always magical. But it's just amazing. Here's a glyph where the female was telling me that she was pregnant. And she was pregnant.
Oh my goodness.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Once again, very literal.
Very literal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here's one that when I seen this, I burst into tears instantly.
Oh.
There's Arrie's A. That's the one that's his signature, the A. Yeah. It's got the X in there. So friendship welcome from the clan of Arrie. And look at how the sentimental touch, how they laid it on bark and with some moss and little ferns, and it's just like it's just like so creative and so heartfelt.
Yeah. Yeah. And you sharing your own personal, and thank you so much, your own personal connection to the Sasquatch, it's going to open the eyes and the minds of so many people that didn't even realize what was right in front of them, because this is the time of ascension when all the secrets come out, all disclosure comes out, and you are doing us such a great service. Well, you and Michael Harrell and Sumbo, True Brother, and others, but I only know you three really as what I call the experts in Sasquatch and the different ways of connecting. Please explain this beautiful spiral.
Well, I don't like the word expert, but I've been very blessed to have for them to share a lot of stuff with me that is supposed to be shared with people. So I will say that.
Yeah.
They got a message for us. So we can talk about that a little bit too. Well, I was saying about mind speak and thought placement. One version of that is where they will just guide me off trail or something, or I'll just go someplace. I got a feeling I have to go someplace, and then I will find things way off trail and off into the bush. And this is an example of that. And actually, I saw the individual, or maybe not the individual who left this, but I saw an individual cross the path right in front of my face that day. They left about 10 of those fish cliff messages from my wife and I. It was just an amazing day. And this guy, he materialized out of thin air too when he crossed the path. And they were also leading me off trail to find these amazing circular structures. And I found about 4 or 5 of them. And check it out. All these sticks are curved. Where are you going to find look, they're all curved. Where are you going to find that?
Wow.
Even the little ones in here. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. It puts me to mind a little bit of when we see the crop circles, like the real crop circles, they never ever break the crops themselves. But what they do is where there's a node, a joint in the crop, in let's say the wheat grass, let's say that they bend them. And then when the scientists have put the the bent grass or the bent wheat under a microscope, it looks very much like they have been microwaved at such an intense level, but the crop always pops back up and always grows in more abundance. Unfortunately, lots of farmers don't want to leave the crops there because they don't want people trampling on their fields, etc. But seeing the curvature of the stick, I mean, I would imagine that there aren't too many curved sticks in the forest, as you said, so potentially the Sasquatch has their own method of maybe curving the wood to create this beautiful, like, Fibonacci sequence spiral that is everywhere in nature.
Definitely. That's how I see it too. They actually change well, I'm not a science guy, so would it be the molecular structure of them? I don't know, but somehow they can change the shape of them just with visualizing it, or however they do it.
Listen, they can make themselves vanish in a second in front of you and materialize in front of you. They can certainly curve pieces of wood.
Yeah, and they have done that a few times with me for sure. But they just appeared right out of thin air. Even in my bedroom when one guy showed up. Would you?
Whoa, who was that? I'm here. Who was that?
Who was what?
Who was the guy that appeared in your bedroom? What did he look like? How big was he? What's his name?
Arrie. He came. I was just laying in bed and there was a big mist of smoke. And I've heard other stories where they travel in the mist and the smoke, and I've had other examples personally where they've done that. So it's a thing, and it's something they do. Just a big puff of smoke appeared in my room. Then all of a sudden, his image became very clear in the smoke, and he was life size, and he was just standing there. And I saw his head and his shoulders. He just looked at me for about 5 seconds, and then just dissipated.
Oh, I love that. What would you say to all the real extreme, totally buttoned up, beyond breath Christians, for example, or Catholics, or anybody who follows a strict, no fun, no smiling, only give your heart to Jesus and that's it, or you're going to go to hell? To those people, you and I are discussing demons. Ooh, he appeared in a puff of smoke. We know that's complete and utter bollocks, and that there's no such thing. You know, we have a beautiful, loving God, supreme being, energy, creator source, whatever you want to call it. That's the real true history of our planet, not these very structured, very murderous, threatening religions. But what would you say to those people that would say, listen, Brian Bland, you demonic, what would you say to them, if anything?
I was going to be really cheeky and use the 2 letters, but I'm just joking.
Go ahead, please.
No,
Free
I'm
speech.
joking. No, I don't know. I'm just kind of quirky and weird. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say F you. That would be ridiculous. Just my stupid sense of humor, the first thing I thought of, but that's not what I would say. I would just say that a lot of most religions are used to control us.
Oh, of course they are.
With fear, you know, like you're going to go, if you don't behave, you're going to go to hell. Well, that's fear. We're controlled with fear. We're controlled with fear today. Look at how we're being controlled by the few in the world, you know, today with all the things that have gone on in the world in the last couple of years.
I know. I'm still waiting for the men and the women to stand up, the parents to stand up, for more people to stand up. You know, look at the idiots that pop up their companies, the World Economic Forum. You know, some bloke with some money and a handler, because we think the faces in the public that we see of these oppressors, they're the puppets. There's people behind them or beings behind them handling them. You know, don't give them all the praise, guys. But, you know, the WEF, for example, this big idiot man, this Austrian buffoon, you know, throws up this World Economic Forum and puts himself in charge of it. And he stands on a global platform and says, you will own nothing and you will be happy. I'm like, oi, mate, shut up and sit down, because you're going to prison and you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. So let's look at the beautiful beauty of this world that we live in. This world, this Sasquatch world that you live in, Brian Bland. Please continue sharing with your beautiful wood glyphs and more stories.
Well, I just wanted to say, just because I wanted to get more detail on that point, like the Sasquatch, one of the things that they have taught me and that I share with other people is this, I call them the core truths. And that's, you know, that's the problem with the world today is, you know, it's all about division. Religion is about division, you know, judgment, fear, and, you know, but the real core truth is everything is based in love. Okay. When you've had like a love zap or these downloads or this look into the universal teachings or whatever, you realize that everything is based in love and that we are actually energy beings and our true nature is none of this stuff that we're taught as kids. None of the things that the religions teaches. I mean, there are some good points in the religions, don't get me wrong, but a lot of it is about fear, control, division, and judgment. And those are all lower vibrational practices, all lower vibrational energies. And so when you go there, you cannot raise your vibrations, which is what the Sasquatch are trying to teach us to do. That's that's what they've taught me to do. And I'm not always there, but they've shown me the way, because when we raise our vibrations, we can't live in fear, hatred, judgment, and all these things. And then all these problems that we have in the world today, they have to go away because they don't exist there. And so that's one of the reasons why people are trying to hurt Sasquatch and hunt Sasquatch, and why these practices of fear and division and all this are in place is because that's how we can be controlled. Once we learn that that's a lie, and once we learn that we don't have to be in fear, because there really is nothing to fear as an eternal being. Once we learn we don't have to fear anything, we can't be controlled. So of course they want to stop that.
Yeah, true.
That's the crux of the Sasquatch teachings for me. We're creators. We actually literally can create our own future with every thought and every action that we take. It's like the universe is like a big spider's web. Every thought and action vibrates on our own little particular strand, and it affects the entire strand or the entire web. So when we create positivity, when we get out of this negativity, this fear, division thoughts, that's what the transition shift is about.
Yeah. So let's talk about the horrible, awful evil that is trying to kill the Sasquatch as you keep moving through your beautiful presentation, please. People are hungry to see the glyphs. Let's keep moving through them.
Are they?
Oh, gosh, yes. We're showing them what they can look for on their own journeys. How beautiful the Sasquatch are, how gentle these giants that leave such delicate, intricate, wood glyphs, art glyphs.
Well, let me just quickly show you that. Let me quickly just show you this one.
Right.
The stories are way too detailed for me to tell you everything about them. But basically, my wife and I had just laid our blankets down on the sand. That day we were gifted raven feathers, and there was mysterious stuff going on, like pictures were removed from our cameras. Nothing, and all positive stuff, all done for the sake of teaching us lessons. But so we had just laid our blankets down there, and as you can see, then all of a sudden I see a next, and it's partially on my blanket. Well, if I just laid my blanket down there, there's no way that showed up. It was just placed there seconds after we laid it down. That's the kind of stuff that right? That makes common sense, right?
Yeah.
So you can be sitting there, and all of a sudden something will appear right before your eyes, which is basically what happened here. Here's one that day where I've seen them walk across the trail 2 or 3 times and materialize out of thin air. The one where I showed you that big circle with all the curved sticks. This is from the same day, and I saw one guy walk across the path, materialize out of thin air that day, and this is him leaving his footprint circled by a vine, just to really.
Oh my God. Wow. And how many are in the clan of Arrie? Because I count 5 major leaves on that glyph. How many are in his actual clan?
Well, I know of 5, but there's more than that. But
right.
there's 5 who have connected with me in some fashion.
Thank you. That's what I was getting from looking at that there are 5 main clan members to Arrie. And you just said 5, so.
But this happens, this kind of stuff happens all the time with a leave a glyph and an obvious track. And it's for the people that they really trust and they want to connect with, and they're teaching. So this has been, I've been gifted this kind of thing many times, many times actually. But here's the track, and I mean, they say, well, if you can't see it, we're going to circle it for you just to make sure
to make extra sure you get it. Yeah. How big was the footprint, Brian? How many inches was that footprint lengthwise?
I'm not one of those guys who goes, I've never made a cast, and I don't measure them. I don't care about proving them. So I don't, but I think it was a juvenile, to tell you the truth. It was probably about 14, 15 inches.
Goodness.
So it wasn't like a big, huge guy, but it was probably a juvenile, a teenager or something, I'm going to say.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, because to me, it's not about, I'm not out to prove anything. They've already shown themselves to me. They're already teaching me and having me share. I don't have to prove it to people.
Yeah.
It's about their message. It's not about do Sasquatch exist or not. With me, it's about their message.
It is. And it's so important. Like you say, you don't even think about having to prove because it's true. And honestly, that's why you're so passionate. You've just written a book again. You've got all these beautiful presentations. There's a man I met recently who had a particular, he had experiences, he says, and then it's something so many in the world want to know about. Now, this man won't talk about it. He says, no, that was just for me. And you're doing the opposite. You're like, I don't care to prove it, but I am going to share it because it truly did happen to you, Brian, many, many times. And there's a difference. And I believe that the beloveds will take away our gifts. They'll take away our opportunities if we do not share the true reality of this planet that we all live on. So explain this one, please. This is beautiful.
Oh, this is just one of their structures. that they just pile a bunch of stuff, and we see these all the time. Now I'm going to say that, you know, when you see structures and stuff in the woods, some of the stuff you find is bushcraft and made by people, but a lot of it is made by the Sasquatch, and I feel that this particular one was, and it's just whatever purpose it serves. It could just be for the sake of art. Sometimes I think they do them in close to people and around where people are. What I've been told is that they do that because they are trying to reach out to people in a non-threatening way, and they're confirming it with me right now, a non-threatening way, and say, here we are, can you see us? And then once you consider that possibility, then maybe your journey or something can develop between you and them once you consider, I wonder who made that, and then you open your heart to that fact. So a lot of these are just an introduction to people. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, absolutely.
Here's Arrie's A, and this, I actually saw him the day when I saw this, and it was 3D, and it was propped up in the sand. And so here's his A, here's his X. So it's friendship, welcome from the clan of Arrie. And if you look in the sand here, there's a little one. The exact identical thing is in the sand, and
goodness,
into here.
Yeah, that's so clever. Did we did we discuss the color of Arie's fur? His fur?
He's like gray.
He's gray. Is that because he's an older clan member that he's going gray?
You know, I mean, they're the female mitochondrial DNA is like human. So, I mean, it could be an age thing, but it's also, they have the range that people have. You know, they can be redheaded, brunettes, black, white. They have the same kind of range of colors as that we have. So it could be an age thing. It could just be their natural color.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and yeah, that's, I mean, I've seen them in different colors. So that's basically what it is. It's just it's the same thing for the reason that, you know, humans can be, I've even seen redheads actually. So humans can be redheaded or brunettes or whatever. The same with the Sasquatch.
Right.
Yeah. And actually, this was the first, this particular glyph, Arrie left me this because he wanted me to acknowledge what it meant, and whether he was in the bush watching myself and my friend, Randy, the guy who took me out on the very first day, and he was watching us in the bush. And as soon as we noticed this, our attention was taken to him standing in the bush watching us. Like it wasn't like we just looked there by accident. We were drawn to look there, and that's another story. They can energetically, without you even realizing why you're doing it, they'll draw you to look in a certain place or go to a certain place. So we both looked over, and he was standing there in the bush, and then he just was like a phantom. He just moved from left to right, and then just disappeared. And once he saw us, recognize this and acknowledge it, and realize that it was his message of friendship and welcome.
Yeah. Super.
And he was probably about 12. I think he was, well, he's over 12 feet tall, and he's huge. So yeah. Oh, here's a strange picture that of my wife, and I didn't take this picture. They took it, just put it on my camera, or it appeared on my camera. That's kind of interdimensional, isn't it?
It's very interesting. Yeah. You make
I mean, it's so there's so much to talk about with them that it's really it's impossible to cover in the time that we have. But I mean,
I know.
Yeah.
Well, we've got your book for people to, to get, and we're going to put the other broadcasts that we've done underneath this one. So there's a lot more of your stories covered in that. But what is this? I don't think I've seen this one before. Don't remember it.
Well, this one was found way in the up in the mountains in the snow, and we actually found a trackway that day too. A big trackway. And this is another personal message for me that they crafted out of like some kind of what you would call this, plastic wire or something.
Uh-huh.
Because people say, like people say they'll see the structures and stuff, or they'll see different things, and they'll say, well, hey, that's like string, or that's like the ends of the wood are cut and whatever. And I always just say, well, so what? They're just going to use whatever is available, or whatever they can find, right?
Right.
So this was way up in the mountains, and there's nobody around at all. And once again, look at this. Here's the A for Arrie, right?
Huh?
Here's the X. So clan of Arrie, friendship welcome. And look what this is. Here's the fish.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Personal message to me. It's talking about my connection with my lovely wife. It's talking about our friendship. It's talking about our connection with Arrie and his clan. And it's just a beautiful, loving message.
That's great.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to move into the killing of the Sasquatch in a moment. I just want to double check if there are any other specific pictures that you want to share before we move on to that subject.
Hold on. Let me just look quickly. Well, here's another literal one, stick man, right?
Mm-hmm.
They left for me. Here's another stick man. That's like a hiking man. You see this? They've even got the little stick propped up on here, and this was snapped. These are all things that I recognize as what they do, like the snap sticks, partially snap sticks. So they leave stuff that you're going to know for sure. This leaning up on here is something that they introduced early on and then continue to do. So I'm seeing a lot of stuff here that I definitely associate with them. And then, of course, it's the literalness of it. It's representing what they see me doing, hiking right through the woods all the time. Oh, here's another fish glyph from my wife and I. And once again, I didn't know what this meant here when I first saw it. But years later, when I came to the understanding, I look at it, and once again, Sue and I are connected. Man, Sasquatch connected, and we are connected to you. So you can see a consistency in that message in a few of the glyphs I've shown you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a Arrie in the mist. You see him?
Right. Yes. Right. Now, explain to his nose, please, and his mouth, because he's looking sideways.
Yeah. Well, here's his two eyes. Here's his nose, and here's his mouth, and big head there.
Yeah, I love that picture.
Yeah. Here's for the evidence, guys. Fingerprints on the window of my truck. Obvious fingerprint. Universal asterisk, which is about connection. Great big giant one that was up in the trees. Here's another one of those ones I told you where they'll leave a footprint and then a glyph.
Mm-hmm.
The track here, and here's the glyph.
Mm-hmm.
They want me to know, or whoever finds it, whoever it's for, to leave no doubt. So okay, so here's our track, and here's a glyph.
Mm-hmm.
This is me standing under one of their structures. I always found this picture interesting because it always looked like I was like photoshopped onto that or superimposed. It doesn't look. It looks kind of odd to me.
It's such a stunning picture of nature in her beauty. And then who's that little white man in there in his jeans? It's almost alien, isn't it? It's incredible. But that is a great shot. Now, in Hawaii, there is a tree called the Hau tree. I believe it's spelled H-A-U, and it grows like that. It grows in a structure. You think man has made that. Man has made that for shelter, but it's the way that the tree grows. I mean, what you're looking at here, it's only very similar in a small way, because anyone that does look up the Hau tree, they will see that there are many, many branches that cross over, and it kind of curves into like a dome shape. It's remarkable to look at. but I can tell this is not that. It just puts me in mind of that. So for those that might get confused, like make sure the tree you're looking at, if it's a how tree, then you're going to know that that's how it naturally grows. Whereas I would imagine most of the other trees on the entire planet do not grow like that.
Well, some of these pieces were carried in from elsewhere.
Mm.
A couple of them were just pushed over. This is like one of their structures. Actually, this was my first. This might have been the first big experience I had all on my own, and it was just a month or two into my journey with them. And I was checking this structure out, and all of a sudden I felt something in my head. It was the first time I kind of had a forehead feeling, and there was some kind of what is that? All of a sudden I heard like two semi trucks colliding. It sounded like boom, like this huge crash that couldn't have happened there. I'm in the middle of the woods, and it was just they put that thought into my head, because they could put any visual, sensory, or audible experience into your head at any time. That's not even really happening. Obviously there wasn't a collision of semi trucks colliding in the middle of the woods, and my wife's experienced the same kind of thing with different things, where you think something's taking place, but it's not actually. It's just they're putting that experience into your field of perception.
Yeah.
Oh, and here's this is interesting. See, there's so many. I could go on for an hour.
I know. Have you got an online presentation?
Yeah, this is one where we were talking about orbs. My wife and I, and we were taking pictures. And once again, it was thought placement, because she just decided, let's take some pictures and see what turns up. And what turned up afterwards tells me that they were setting us up for that thought answer. And so there's a series of a bunch of pictures in this, but basically it was entirely black and dark out. There was nothing, there was none of this stuff. And this fire, by the way, is an old fire pit that was completely dead cool. So there wasn't a fire. And we basically saw a bunch of orbs coming in, from a total blackness to a couple orbs to a bunch of orbs to a unbelievable amount of orbs. And then they formed into this entity here. And the lesson I got from that, the knowing that I got from that they gave me, was that this omnipotent being was bringing its consciousness in from all different points of consciousness.
Yeah,
you know what I
mean.
Yeah. So it's like that's how the Sasquatch can be have 3 or 4 people acting independent of each other and bring them together for an answer that they figure out themselves, or how I can be talking about the Sasquatch to you or to somebody else on the show, and other people are feeling them and experiencing the same individual, because because some of them, they can have their consciousness in many different points of consciousness, so to speak. And this was an illustration of how this individual was bringing his consciousness together from, like I said, different points of consciousness. So
yeah, great.
Yeah, this is the next picture. It's just walking off. And this one, there's a big face looking at my wife. Can you see the face? Yeah. Anyway, should we well, there's just a track. Should we stop and just start talking about other stuff?
Sure, because we wanted to cover a few points for people while we've got time together. Obviously, one of the big things today is to discuss your book that's called A Sasquatch Story, My Life with the Clan Arrie. And now that you've given us pictures of him, introduction to him, this will be more, value for people that might want to get your book, which we'll put the link underneath the video, guys, for you.
What the book's about is, there's a lot of my stories and my experiences are in the book, and they're magical. And, some of the things I talked about here, everything I talked about here and much more is in the book. But it's magical, beautiful stories, but there's lessons and there's teachings in every story. And so if somebody's open-minded and they read it, they can begin to understand who these people are. They can understand what their message is for humanity about, like, don't be fooled by this, division and lies and fear. That's not who we are. That's who the handlers, so to speak, want us to think we are. And so it's got all that in the book. It's and of course, they helped me write it, so I give them the credit.
I love that. I think it was your partner, Michael Harrell from the Pork and Bean Show, that once said that people were saying, how can I connect to them? And I think it was him that said, the minute you just even start like opening your heart to the very idea is when they're coming around you, is when you can definitely like sending love thoughts or love bombs or whatever. And it's so true. And there are so many different types of Sasquatch. And when I was in Costa Rica, I was living there the last 2 years. I don't live there anymore. I was living in a house in the jungle on top of a mountain, and there were so many beings there. My friend Chris O'Connor came to stay for 4 days to do some deep regression therapy for his time in a dark program off planet. And he has a lot of information himself on the Sasquatch. He said, I feel the Squatch around me. I'm like, not saying a word. Then at night, he went to bed, and in the morning, he said to me, Dani, there were 3 looking in my window. I'm like, And he said, one of them was blonde, and I named her She Bear. This beautiful, big, feminine blonde. I'd never seen a blonde one, Brian, like a proper blonde. I'd seen, unheard of, the red, the black, the gray, the white. I'd never seen an actual female blonde Yeti, Bigfoot, Sasquatch before.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you would think that they would all have like brown or black eyes or something, but the female Rajase up here, she was the one who gave me my love zap, which was a huge download of universal knowing. And that's another story. It's in the book, but it was just like, once I had that, I couldn't go back. There's no turning back from that kind of thing, right? It was so profound. But she has beautiful blue eyes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stunning blue eyes. So they cover the range of humans in their hair color, and eye color and all that stuff, and facial features and different things.
I'm really glad you said that as well, because, and then again, we're just good. This is just a free flowing conversation, mostly all your experiences, but just in brief, She Bear has 1 green and 1 blue eye. And I was waiting again for confirmation of what you just said. So that's brilliant. A little bit about them too. There are some that appear very dark with red eyes, and there are some beings that are not nice with red eyes, but the Sasquatch with the red eyes apparently are one of the most intelligent. They're the ones from Marduk. And it's okay, don't be frightened of, but we're so programmed and mismatched. It's like, have you seen Jean-Charles Moyan? He's the French movie director, filmmaker that makes films on his off-planet military escapades. And he's amazing. So his brother Victor has green skin and red eyes. So I'm just making the point there that we need to help people steer away from being so fearful of beings with red eyes, because that's Hollywood programming. Like the Angel of Death, that's Hollywood programming. We've got to be careful, because we could be missing out on the most beautiful experiences. But also just, common sense. Common sense wins the game.
Just on a rudimentary level, and I'm just going to say a quick point on this. The identical experience could be interpreted by 2 different people, as one can think, oh, they're trying to kill me, or for instance, a little rock will come out on the trail, throwing out in front of you, and some people will like be terrified and run, and they want to start shooting, and they'll just think, it's going to kill me and whatever. And it's the same exact experiences as somebody like me or another individual who will think, oh, beautiful, my friends are here. So it's how some of these experiences are how we interpret them.
Yeah, for sure. All right. The murder of the Sasquatch. Let's talk about that. What is your understanding of the non-men and non-women who have been hunting and killing Sasquatch?
Well, I would say because of the lessons that they've taught me about universal truths, about how we are all part of the universal collective, we're one universal mind. They're trying to teach people about not to have fear, not to judge, not to discriminate, not to have division, all those things which control us and have been for years and years and years. That is the crux of the Sasquatch message. And so, of course, they want to eliminate that. Because if we wake up to that understanding and that knowledge and realize that that's who we are, they can't control us anymore. They're gonna go bye-bye. So yes, that is why they would be doing that, because the Sasquatch and other benevolent star nations races, whether they're here to open our hearts, our minds, and introduce us to who we truly are. I remember a good friend of mine, Arla Calais Williams, one of my mentors, when I first started at this, said, you go looking for Sasquatch, but what you really find is that you find yourself and who you truly are. And so the handlers, or whatever you want to call them, they don't want us to find out who we are, because then the jig is up.
Mm-hmm.
But with the principle of no judgment, we also have to look at them and not attack them with the same kind of energy as they are attacking us, because that's falling into that lower vibrational thing. We actually have to be in a weird, perverse kind of way grateful to them, because what they're doing right now is so over the top, so in our face, that regular people who don't even consider some of the things that you and I are talking about and whatever, they're starting to say, wait a minute, something wrong here. So they're actually enabling us to wake up. So they're just doing their part from the opposite side of the equation, or from you know what I'm saying?
I
Because
mean,
if they weren't doing that, everything would just go on as usual, and we'd just be la-di-da-di-da,
yeah. I mean, I call them COVID blessings. So many amazing things have happened since this forced shutdown and this planned extermination of so many peoples and so many places on the planet and animals, etc., and history of our Earth. And it's been the biggest failure ever, because more people have come to life and discovered their real, true human potential, and they're owning their spiritual experiences, and they're on platforms like this, and they're finally all finding and linking, and it's largely through the arms of love, sharing true story, true testimony through love. And as that frequency builds, it is impenetrable. There's sayings that when the dark ones are, attacking and coming after you, and others, you drown them in love, flood them in love. I mean, I'll still smash one in the face and love them later. We got to be a little bit smart. You can't just be going armless. I remember seeing, Gandhi and the people walking in peace, and they were getting battered to death, and it was so hard to watch because it was actual footage. And guys, keep your Gandhi thoughts to yourself, because every time now we mention somebody from the past that we were told was great, and there's all these stories that no one has absolutely come out and said are true. They're just hypothesis or hyperbole, whatever. But oh my God, I was watching these people getting beaten with sticks, and I'm like, oh my God, I wish I was there with a stick to whack those buggers back. You can't be defenseless. That's stupidity to me. It's like you, for example, you have this beautiful real life connection, and I can just imagine you being in a position, let's say in the forest, where there may be potential danger, but you are protected by this clan. Ooh, I just got goosebumps top to toe.
They've rescued me before. I've been lost before, where they actually literally rescued me.
Tell us that story, and then tell us about your heart attack.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But you were going somewhere where I wanted to go with that for a bit. But basically, we have to be aware of what's going on. We can't just be like la-di-da-di-da, everything's fine. You want to be aware of it, but you want to battle it with a vibration that they they can't touch or that they cannot defeat, which is love. You don't have to like them. You might want to punch them in the face or whatever, sure, but you still you can't be you never solved hatred was never solved with more hatred. Basically. So a lot of people can't grasp that understanding that you can't attack them with another lower vibrational foray or whatever, or thrust.
I mean, a quick slap in the chops here and there is all right. I'm just saying we got to be a little bit. Come on. You don't go to war with a floppy leaf. You know what I mean? And no, we don't condone violence, but you just have to.
I think what it is that with me, like they took my fear away, the Sasquatch. That was another thing I asked them one night because I found myself slipping a bit, and they just instantaneously gave me that no fear kind of thing. So I think that when you have, I think that what it is that when you're in on that vibration, or you're on that on that vibration, you battle them because you can't oh geez, I had the perfect words too. It's gather my thoughts here for a second. Well, basically you have no fear, so they can't touch you, and you're just impervious to whatever they do. They can't affect you. Like, I'm not really, like even at the worst of this COVID thing and all this stuff, I just wasn't really scared because I was in that vibration. And I didn't say it very good. I'm sorry, Dani.
No, darling, you have it, mate.
Some brilliant words I was thinking, but basically, you know what I mean. You just have to keep yourself above it, be aware of it, but keep yourself above it. And that's the best way to battle them. And when more and more people do that, then it's like the universe, which is the big spider's web. We start changing things just with our thoughts and our actions. It's like the 100 monkey thing or whatever, I guess.
I know all these are introductions of mind thought for us to develop more of a spiritual toolkit to have as defending of self, but still moving through and raising that frequency of love. And you say you had all these brilliant words in your mind, but they left you because your brain is so quick. You were already on to the next thing. That happens to me all the time as well. So did we cover how the Sasquatch?
It was your fault because you kept talking.
You mean you're not for a change?
Basically, that was it. We have to battle them with a position of no fear. You don't buy into the fear, because because they're accomplishing just as much with us not believing them and not buying any of the nonsense. But if we're in fear, they accomplish the same thing as if we were totally oblivious to it. So keep yourself on that vibration and realize that that's who we are. So the rescue, is that what you want to talk about? Okay, so I was in the woods with my wife one day, and I had just traveled from British Columbia to Oregon, worked a 12-hour shift, and went straight there, and another 8 or 9 hours driving, and I was exhausted. It's amazing, I did that so many times that I wasn't killed going down there, because I don't know how I survived that. I should have fallen asleep at the wheel or something, but somehow I got through it. But anyway, so I'm always really dead tired when I do that. So the very next day, and it takes me a day or so to recover, we went out to the woods and we're hiking in this remote area. And as soon as I got there, I saw some glyphs, and specifically 2 little peel sticks placed side by side. And that's a glyph that I recognize as being theirs. And I said, oh, they're here. That's cool. So I took note of it. And that was by design. Nothing's coincidence with them. And so we're going along. And then all of a sudden, my wife decides she's going to go hiking up the hill, way up this big slope. And I wasn't going to do that because I was beat. So I've been yelling up to her, I'm not coming up there. I'm not doing that. And I don't hear that well. So she was saying, hang on, I'm going to be right down. I didn't hear that. I just said, screw this. So I decided I'll go and meet her back at the car, right? So I'm headed back to the car, and I got lost. And for 2 or 3 hours, I'm going around in circles. I'm going up these mountain roads and all around, and I don't recognize anything. And it's fall, and I was actually considering I better start gathering some firewood pretty quick, because I'm going to be here all night, and I better, I want to be warm, because it was going to be way below freezing that night. So it was not a good situation. And all of a sudden I came to this roundabout area where the trail went off in about 3 different directions. Okay. And I reached up to the Sasquatch. I said, listen, guys, I said it just like that. You got to help me. I'm lost. Can you please help me get back to Susan? So I decided I'll go up this one last trail. I'm headed up there, and I don't recognize anything. And I'm saying, oh, geez, I'm going to turn around. This is not the right way. And so I was just about to turn around when I saw 2 little peeled sticks on the path. Okay. I saw the 2 peeled sticks, and I said, oh, good. I'm back to the car, because it was just after we had just got out. Right.
God.
Oh, I'm thinking that. So that encouraged me to go on when I saw those 2 peeled sticks. Right. So as soon as I go on, about 15 seconds after that, just above me on the road, just above the path, I see my wife driving by really, really slowly in her Honda. And I yell out, Sue, 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 stop. And so we connected, and I said, oh my God, thank God that I got back to the vehicle or whatever. And she said, what do you mean? You're like a mile and a half or something away from it. I wasn't anywhere close to where the vehicle was, but those 2 sticks that I recognized early on made me go on and connect with her. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
And from her point of view, she was looking for me. She's driving into the road, and all of us, at one point, something was holding her back and telling her to stop and to wait. She was just had that feeling that, and then she got, okay, go now. And then she went, and then that's when we hooked up. So they were manipulating her. They were manipulating me, and when I say manipulating, I mean in a very positive way.
Oh yeah.
They were working with her and me, and the glyph, to make me go on to connect us, to connect us. So they rescued me out of the woods.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, and that's on the boat too.
I love it. I love it. We're going to come to the heart attack, because I know we were all very concerned about you a few weeks ago, you little bugger, went and had a heart attack on us. And then I know you had some experiences there. Before we go into that, I just want for people out there to know, there's so many people, they are broken, they are wounded, they are lost, they feel like no one and nothing loves them. They may have never felt they could connect to the angelic realm or the elementals, but there are some who would be so soul matched with the beautiful Sasquatch, the Yeti, the Bigfoot, the abominable snowman. I don't like the fact that he's called the skunk ape in certain areas. But anyway,
the word Bigfoot actually, but
I know. But again, some people that haven't heard of Sasquatch, because I lived in Canada years ago too, so I know it's Sasquatch there, it's Bigfoot in Britain, and it's a Yeti elsewhere, China, and then the abominable snowman might come from Nepal and Tibet, and then back around the Himalayas, and so better to include all, and the Menehune, which are the small Hawaiian beings. There is thought that they are a smaller version of the Bigfoot too, also leprechaun. So again, just inclusive for those people who are just so bereft, so alone right now, so feeling like giving up, because there's so much heartache, and want them to know that they, well, may I hand over to you? May you give the best advice for people in that really despairing place, or not, they don't have to be all despairing, to allow them to believe that they could connect to the Sasquatch. How would they do that, please?
Well, I want to say a couple quick things, because my wife was actually in Hawaii recently, and she had 3 really amazing experiences with the Sasquatch, who are not known, historically to be in Hawaii, but that just proves that they can be anywhere where their people are. So she
What island? What island?
The Big Island.
Okay, the Big Island.
But it's not relative to where you are, because they can be anywhere where you are. It's just that the point is that if they're connected with you or they want to show up and introduce themselves to you, location it is not important. It's their intention. They just think it and there they are. You know, that's how like Arrie showed up in my room, for instance. So it's more about that they can appear anywhere and be with you anywhere that you are, more than the actual location. Although it's nice to be in the woods. It's nice to be where they actually, you know, live. So if I was going to give advice to people as to how to connect with them, I would just say, "Hi, I'm Brian, and I would like to meet you." Simple as that. And it just comes from the heart. Just be genuine. Don't take out game cams. Don't be worried about trying to prove that they exist, because that kind of pisses them off. It's just a waste. They don't want to prove that they exist to people. They want to help people, and you get more information when you connect with them through the heart, and you don't need to know that they exist. So just go out in the woods, maybe. I mean, if you want to be out in nature and just sit there and just say, "Hi, I'm so and so, and I would love to meet you," and just mean it, and don't have any agenda, and just be genuine and heartfelt, and that's how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
Brilliant,
simple.
beautiful. That's
Respect. All about respect. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Thank you. So your heart attack recently, can you share, as much as you are comfortable sharing, can you share with us the knowingness that these beautiful beloved, this clan of Arrie, was with you during that time?
Right. Well, they're healers too, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're healers. I've actually witnessed them heal. I've heard of them healing people, my friends and whatever, with beautiful stories where my wife was there and they healed a friend of hers. I've been at some of my campouts, they've healed people right in front of my eyes. So I have that knowledge. So I know that because of my connection with them, they would have been with me, but they also showed me in a very tangible way that they were with me. And the nurse there, whatever, when I told him that the doctor said I was very lucky, I didn't have any heart damage and everything, and he said, "Did you look at your chart?" He said, "You're never going to be the same again," or whatever. But he was wrong, because the Sasquatch were with me. I'm basically right back to normal. So I know that they were helping me. I had other people telling me, and I could feel them, that I had a lot of love around me at that time, a lot of help. People like you who have got insight into that. You get to meet so many beautiful people who have so many different gifts that share their insights with you in situations like that. But anyway, so I had this ring on one of my fingers, and it was a pretty special ring to me, one that I really, really liked. And when I'm in there, just after my operation, I noticed it was off my hand, and I'm saying, "What in the?" And I was a little upset. So I retraced my steps to where I got one of the procedures done. Well, not the heart operation, but some kind of, I don't know, some kind of procedure where they were checking the heart, and it was just basically pretty close to my room. So I was retracing my steps everywhere, trying to look for this ring, right? And one of the nurses was really, really helpful and friendly. She helped me look too. So we scoured the room 3 times. We looked under the bed like 2 or 3 times, under the covers, everywhere for this ring, right? And like I said, I went to where I was having this test done, and I walked up and down the hallways and all over, and it was nowhere to be found. So I've learned one thing from them, is that if you lose something, you just let it go. Material things are not that important. So I said, okay, it's gone. Then I'm just sitting there, and all of a sudden I said, I'm going to look under the bed one more time. And right under directly under the bed in plain view was the ring.
Wow. Wow.
So I knew that they had placed it there, and that was just for them to show me that they were with me, which I knew anyway, but just, just an obvious kind of way. And it was, it was impossible for it to have been there unless they had placed it there. So
it's so wonderful. Would you, there are people that believe that we have spirit guides of all denomination and all creed and all manner of being, and that we sometimes are also their spirit guides, and that we have also been, like, I know I've been a man in past lives. I've been every color skin, every weight, every size. Do you feel like potentially that Arrie and this clan that is so beloved to you, that you were part of this clan in another incarnation? Or would you, yes, let's go into that.
100%. Yeah, they've told me that.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they told me, you are family. And I take that in a literal sense, that I am literally family with them. And I take it in the big universal sense, because we're all family.
Yeah.
We're all expressions of God expressing himself. That's why you don't look. That's why when people look at a deity outside of themselves and surrender all their power to it, I don't believe that's the right way to go. The power of God and everything is within us. We're kind of just slacking off and saying, well, I'm gonna give this to something else, and I don't have to take responsibility for it. But that's not how I see it. So yeah, I've been told that I am part of this clan, and I've been told different things, but I have to feel it and be told myself, to really believe it. But I do believe I have been Arie's brother or something, maybe literally or something like that.
That's so beautiful. I it makes me so happy hearing stories like this. Like my friend Chris O'Connor, he has a being he's very close with, and this being is called Jigadim. And this being he's drawn a picture of him, and it's in his presentation from our conference. And Jigadim has almost like a little flat elephant nose, but his eyes, they are the bluest blue. They're like lights. They're not like eyes like the human eye. They are like these bright blue lights. And I love when Chris O'Connor talks about Jigadim, there's a different energy that comes through him that you can physically feel, witness, sense, and I feel that way with you and Arrie, and the way that you relate and refer to him. There's just such this bountiful, beautiful abundance of love that clearly passes between the two of you. And I'm so happy that, your great stories continue. I mean, not happy you had a heart attack. I'm sorry about that. But what a lovely, beautiful story, the ring, and that you were looked after. And the doc said, oh, you're never going to be the same again, because you clearly are and were. And it's just giving humanity such hope on different levels, where we may never have ever considered Sasquatch being something we might connect to, because we've been programmed to believe they'll eat you, they're scary. Well, some are scary. Like bad humans, there are not very nice Sasquatch too. We've heard stories of that too. But your stories they just keep expanding and growing, and so grateful for you. We're going to bring our beautiful chat to a close. And again, remember, guys, out there, I'm going to put Brian Bland and Michael Harrell's last broadcast with me under this video too. So you get 3 hours, 4 hours of you buggers.
I'm probably talking about a lot of the same things. I've had so many experiences that sometimes I find it's hard to remember them all. I got to start trying to go into the recesses and bring up some of the ones I haven't talked about too much.
There's new people coming into this kind of essence of self and the real history of our planet and the beings that live with us all the time. So, never worry about that. Never worry about that. I'm going to hand the screen over to you, my love, for final words, your message to humanity and the Sasquatch.
Well, just that we are part of the universal collective, that we're part of a universal mind, that we are much more than what the people who want to control us say we are. And don't live in fear. Don't judge. Don't think of that we're divided or whatever. That's all a manufactured lie to keep us in that low vibrational state. We're much more than that. Don't fall for those lies. And once we get over that and we don't fall for it, which is what, it's starting to happen. You're saying it. People are waking up. That's what the transition shift is. It's not about waking up and being in another world or another planet or anything like that. It's a conscious shift of energy, vibration, and a different awareness of who we are. And once we realize that, we will act in a different way, act in love and not in fear. And so that's the message of the Sasquatch. And that really is the most important thing I think that humanity can hear today. There's nothing more important than that. That is literally our future, and what will keep us from nuking ourselves or blowing ourselves up or whatever is that realization. So
yeah, beautiful. Brian Bland, you are a joy to behold, and I love to spend time with you and love your energy. Your new book, A Sasquatch Story, My Life with the Clan Arrie. And Arrie is spelled ARRRIE, triple R's, 3 R's, right?
Clan of Arrie.
The Clan of Arrie. And that is on Amazon and most good bookstores. Beautiful. Brian Bland, thank you so much.
And the only reason I wrote it is you don't make money writing these books. There's only one reason I wrote it, because that's what they want me to do. And I want to share this message with people. So I'm not filling my pockets with baubles and gold and whatever, but but it's a labor of love, right? And to me it's important because I've got big beautiful people guiding me to do it. So
yeah, their story deserves to be heard too, most definitely. Thank you, Brian Bland. Until next time, my love.
Okay, we'll have you on our show again one time.
Definitely. And to you lovely lot out there, hopefully you've got a bit more insight into the beautiful Sasquatch, or whatever these beings are called where you live in the world. I invite you to, once you've enjoyed this conversation between Brian and I, go ahead, get his book. And also underneath this broadcast will be a broadcast between Brian Bland and Michael Harrell from the Pork and Beans Show. And I will also include the broadcast with Sumbo True Brother, who also has physical stories on his physical interaction with the Sasquatch. Till next time, viewers, my love to you, and I will see you soon.